The BMW 8 Series is undoubtedly one of the best-looking BMW models to date. Its long, slender proportions give the coupe a visually athletic look, and I much prefer the look of the coupe with the fast roofline compared to the convertible. In Malaysia, the M850i is priced at just under 1.1 million ringgit, which makes it cheaper than the Mercedes S560 Cabriolet and AMG S63 Coupe. But if you're choosing in terms of outright looks, the Lexus LC 500 at 1.2 million ringgit is also worth a look.
Now, first things first, when I noticed upon coming in is that there is no seatbelt assistant like you find in the S560 Cabriolet or the S-Class Coupe. What it does is when you come into the car, a mechanized thing will push the seatbelt forward and makes it easier for you to reach for your seatbelts. But this car, it doesn't. But that is what it is for the seatbelt. For other creature comforts, I guess the steering wheel is nice and fat and meaty. Pedal shifters, but things I like: BMW Live Cockpit display. It is an exceptional piece of kit. It does not flicker at all, so that's really a good thing. I think a lot of manufacturers are nailing this right down to the dot. Maybe design-wise, it's actually free of clutter. So in terms of design, you might like the Mercedes-Benz one, you might like the Audi one. To each their own. I think this is fine. It even has the car projected for you in the middle according to the specifications of your car. So that's a really nice touch. In the middle here, huge widescreen touchscreen as well, with complete with the BMW operating system 7. So that's their latest and most advanced operating system. Super fluid, graphically very impressive as well. And I think the sub menus are a little bit more easy to navigate. Build quality though is really good. I think comparatively it is a touch above the S-Class Coupe, because right here in the center console is where the S-Class Coupe starts to feel a little bit less than special, let me put it that way. But in the 8 Series, this is real good stuff. Right down here in the middle, the gear knob is a handcrafted glass ornament of a thing. It's multifaceted, so if you take a look at it at various angles, sometimes you see 4 figures of the 8. It's quite a sight, and really almost like a jewel. Real nice trinkets that you get with the 8 Series. Right up front, under the bonnet, is a 4.4 litre twin-turbo V8 engine. So it makes about 530 horsepower, well 530 PS and 750 Newton meters of torque. 0 to 100, together with an 8-speed automatic and xDrive all-wheel drive, 3.7 seconds. That literally means it's the second fastest BMW in the whole BMW range, second only to the M5. So the M5 makes 600 PS and 750 Newton meters of torque. Right now, I'm going to switch the drive mode into Sport and show you what 3.7 seconds is really like in gear. It's a bit tricky because we're in Australia and you know speed limit here is very strict, right? So we went from 80 towards that 115, just like that. I really can't. I wish I could show you 0 to 100, but guys, it doesn't look like it because we're on a very tight driving schedule and it's a convoy drive and there's no way for me to stop and pull over and do that. But this is not even a full-blown M8, so I don't know what you're gonna do with all this performance, but it's there if you want it. Top speed is electronically limited to 250 kilometers per hour. It's got 20-inch wheels. Also, a very important system that they've included in the 8 Series is the integral active steering. It basically means all-wheel steering. So when you're driving in the city at low speeds, the rear wheels will turn in the opposite direction as to your front wheels, and when you're driving faster, the rear wheels will turn in the same direction as the front wheels, so as to give it a more agile feeling, because this is a very long car, and driving along these rural roads in Melbourne, it actually doesn't feel like a long car thanks to that. Speaking of the car's length, it gives it a very nice visual appeal from the outside, but on the inside it doesn't feel so much like a 4-seater. It's basically a 2+2 here, which is essentially why they are coming up with the 8 Series Grand Coupe. Now, in terms of refinement, it's pretty much up there as a BMW's flagship coupe, or as they call it, a Grand Tourer. This car is very easy to drive. It's very comfortable for you to drive long distances, and if you're worried about being overloaded in terms of your sensors, then this is probably not going to give you that, because it's a really comfortable place to be in. Can't stress that enough. They have dialed in the creature comforts as well. The seats are very comfortable. It's BMW's top-of-the-line merino leather. That's their flagship upholstery. Very fitting for this car. It's comfortable also. If you so wish, the armrest, the center armrest and the door armrest can also be heated. In Malaysia, it doesn't really make sense, but there you have it. Back to comfort. Ride comfort is actually pretty good, and when the roads open up like this, you can simply flick it into Sport Plus and enjoy the sporty edge of this car. So this car really redefines the term sports tour, I would say. They call it a sports coupe, flagship sports car. They also call it Grand Tourer, and I think this car does both very well. In terms of handling and agility, again, I mentioned with the active steering wheel, this car feels very nippy, but to be able to fully appreciate this car's dynamic prowess, I think you've got to throw it around a track, and hopefully BMW is going to arrange that for us in the future. But for normal everyday driving, when you're going cross-country, this is I can't find faults with it really. It doesn't feel like a big long car, doesn't feel like a wide car at all. Last but not least, perhaps the steering wheel. It's light when it's supposed to be, very handy for when you drive around city, and even though they've gone full electric rack for the past 2 generations of cars, it's still very engaging to drive. There's still adequate feedback, and even more so in the Z4 Roadster. But for this, as a Grand Tourer, I really cannot find fault with it. It's precise, although not as precise as a Porsche Panamera, but that's a different thing altogether.
Right, that's pretty much it for our quick driving review of the BMW M850i. What do you think of the car? Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and as usual, I'll see you in the next one.